head off. Okay, okay. And this. Oh my god! I didn't expect him to come. No way. So, I've got to come clean. I'm not actually a noob when it comes to the Souls-like games, but I am a noob when it comes to the Dark Souls trilogy. I got the idea for this because recently I hit over 400 hours on Elden Ring, almost 100 hours in Night Rain, and I'm also a big fan of games like Lies of P and Hollow Knight, so I wanted to go back and play the original Dark Souls games, just to experience the start of the genre and see if the games still hold up. Throughout this video, I'm going to be ranking these bosses relative to the game it's from, so I won't be comparing the Moonlight Butterfly to Consort Radahn or Solid Cinder to like the Smelter Demon, because I don't really think it's fair to compare bosses that come from different states of the game, but I will be talking about features and boss mechanics that I think have improved or changed over the time this genre has defined itself. I streamed all of this on Twitch, so if you want to watch more of this live to help me or to troll me with bad advice, the link will be in the description. But with all that said, let's start with the beginning. So, first up, I made my character. I wasn't too sure on what build I wanted to do, but I 100% wanted to do a melee build, so I wouldn't get flamed by the magic equals easy players. I was pretty shocked with the amount of attributes, because in Elden Ring, there's like no attunement, no resistance, and no humanity. Why is there only two genders? I ended up choosing Warrior, because it was a pretty well-rounded class, and I didn't know whether I wanted to go more into a strength build or a dex build yet. Then, I designed my character, which was pretty useless because the lack of humanity makes me look like a hollow, and then I ended up wearing a mask for the whole game, so like, yeah. But anyways, my character is complete. Sir Baby, White Knight of MILFs. I almost forgot, I chose the Master Key as my starting item, and I actually think it's the best decision I ever made in my life. And yeah, my intro audio was bugged, so I did it myself.
Nito, the first of the dead, the witch of Ceaseless and her daughters of chaos. Gwyn, the lord of sunlight and his faithful knights.
I woke up in the dungeon to Homeboy asking me if the girl he's speaking to looks chopped. So I asked him, what the fuck are you asking me? You're the one speaking to her. So he left. Luckily, COVID restrictions had been lifted, so I got up and made my way forward. I ran into the asylum demon, hit it once, saw a whopping 2 damage, and sprinted out of there to my first bonfire. I found my equipment and then saw my homie in the state his girl left him in, but then I opened the big door and was ready for the fight with the asylum demon. First off, the intro to this fight was pretty cool, but off the bat I realised that this boss was just a blueprint for the tree sentinel, so I knew what attacks it would do. But then I saw my first problem. The roll was so slow compared to what I knew, and it took forever to drink the flasks. It wasn't a problem with the boss, as this one doesn't really do that much damage, as it's just a beginner's boss, but it is an issue later in the playthrough. So anyways, with this boss, I rate it a 6 out of 10. It wasn't really that hard, and I actually really liked its simplicity. It's a pretty good starter boss, and it doesn't have any annoying gimmicks. Yeah. This is literally just the tree sentinel. Okay, yeah, he's literally just the tree sentinel. Come on, do you look, how is this not the tree sentinel? Bro, I don't... After that, I headed out to the cliff and got jump scared by Big Bird. And then I realised this cutscene was literally ripped out of this and stuck in Night Rain. But we made it out to our main hub, the Firelink Shrine. I remember this. We spoke to Crazy Dave and he told us we had to ring 2 bells to get access to the rare tier 4 Pokimane sub. I spoke to Augustus Gloop and joined his wizarding school and had a look around the shrine. I noticed a graveyard with some loot. So I went down only to see the skeletons were not dead and extremely overpowered. And I ended up dying. adding to my death counter that I had live on Twitch. But you might see that sometimes I died, and my death counter stays the same, and that's because I forgot. I died quite a lot, and I ended up just counting them in my head, and then adding them when I cleared the area. But to be honest, it's probably not 100% accurate. But I found my new weapon, and decided to go up to the castle instead. I saw a ghoul that didn't sell a fat man, but did sell a variety of starter weapons, and I ended up buying the residence key and just making my way to the next bonfire. When I got there, I killed quite a few enemies and put some levels into strength and dex, and that allowed me to use the weapon I found earlier, the winged spear. Using my Elden Ring knowledge, I knew that if you had a spear while shielding, it'd have its own animation that kept the shield up while you'd attack, and I thought that'd be a good strategy for the time being while getting my bearings for the game. As I was heading up, I saw a strong looking enemy I wanted to fight, but I ended up dying. Luckily I grabbed the item he was protecting just before I died, the blue Tearstone ring. It boosts your defense when low, but I looked through the video and it didn't even come in handy once, but I kept it on just because it's my first and only ring. I went further up and ran into my second major boss, the Taurus Demon. This is the boss that gave me a glimpse of how the rest of the bosses were going to be like in the future. Yeah, get ready for that. I ended up switching to the Great Axe so it did more damage, and the shield would just break in one hit. For some reason this boss had a gimmick where you had to go up the ladders, kill the archers and come back down to fight it. And it could be pretty time consuming, including the run back, but that wasn't the worst bit. This boss introduces the mechanic I'm going to call the backtrack hit. When an enemy attacks, if your model comes into contact with its animation, you take damage. Simple, right? Well, in this game, when the attack animation stops, it leaves a smaller residual damage which can stagger you out of your roll and leave you with less health and no follow-up. So my years of playing Elden Ring and learning to dodge into the attacks weren't really useful here. And then sometimes it's just better to dodge away and then run it in for an attack. But anyways, I found this boss to be okay. I ended up using the lightning resin and it turned my weapon into Stormbreaker, and I killed it pretty easily, only taking 2 attempts. But for this one, I'm going to have to give it a 4 out of 5. Its attacks weren't too complicated, but it just kept on hitting me through that fucking dodge roll. And it was just better to sometimes sit behind him or run a mile away from him. And that's all I've really got to say about him. From there, I found my fellow White Knight, Ceaseless, and agreed that you shouldn't argue with women, but listen and learn. Then I tried to cross the bridge, but the dragon said no. At this point, I was so lost. I saw that in the next area they had a load of enemies, and I hadn't touched a bonfire in ages, so I went to the rats for assistance. 6'9". I mean, the rats told me to run past the dragon to open the gate and then get to the bonfire, but I tried again, and I just couldn't do it. So I leveled up so I can use the Handler and just carried on throughout the castle. After about 5 long runbacks, I realised you can kick the ladder down to get back to the dragon bridge. Yeah, I spent about 2 hours on this section, but I made it to the chapel and got a weapon I would stick with for a while, the halberd. It has good damage, good range, and it scales in strength, so this was the weapon that made me finally decide with a strength build. I picked up the Firekeeper's soul, but the noob that I am didn't know that I could actually give the soul to the Firekeeper, so I consumed most of them other than one, so that explains the shit healing. But this leads to one of the best things I like about this game, the level design. As you go down the lift, you find that you've wrapped all the way around and now back at the start. And this design is pretty cool, and it does it right. But don't get me wrong, there are some runbacks that are terrible, and some bonfires that are only seen by players with X-ray vision. But this feature makes a game like this with no teleporting so much more enjoyable. After returning to the shrine, I made my way back up to the gargoyle fight, and got fucked up. I realised I wasn't going to be able to beat it yet, so I asked the old 20 miner what to do. He told me even when he was a kid, he yearned for the mines. So I went down to his new 1x2 to explore the new area. Oh yeah, this guy said I had a yee ass haircut, so I killed him. The mines led to a new grassland which was home to one of the most annoying bosses I've ever fought. I saw a new drawer that was sealed, and I put on my new Elite Knight armor set and shield on, and then headed to the next boss, the Moonlight Butterfly. What do I even say about this boss? It's just so annoying. The single shot's alright, but when it does the 2-round burst, there's no point in dodging it because you're bound to clip the second shot. You might as well shield it and take less damage. I ended up trying to use the side of the bridge to tank the shots, but I doubt that was the way devs intended players to do it. And it was just so long. It was like I was playing a waiting simulator for some stupid bug to run out of mana. Luckily the run back was quite close, but it was still annoying. Lastly, when it came down so I could hit it, half my hits hit the bridge anyway, and I couldn't get in the last shot because the leaving explosion has backtrack, so it wasn't even worth going for. It took me 9 attempts and I can't believe I killed it before the gargoyles. I'm gonna have to give it a 3 out of 10. The only bit I enjoyed was dodging the single shots, and the rest of it felt like RNG.
2 hours later.
It's fucking Fortnite und trink Cola! Yippee!
I carried on exploring the grassland and I ran into a Black Knight. I killed him for his halberd, which was infinitely better than the one I was using. At the time of this recording, I actually didn't know this was one of the best weapons in the game, and I was extremely lucky as it has a really low drop rate. Talking about drop rates, you might be thinking, Babby, why is your humanity always 0? And for that, all you have to do is read the title. I'm actually the biggest noob, This whole game I used humanity as emergency heals because I didn't know what it did and didn't know you could actually turn human, but my bad, I guess. But anyways, after getting the black halberd, I saw its stat requirements and knew that this was the weapon I wanted to work towards, so I continued forward. I saw the Hydra and asked if it squirt or not, and then I opened the drawer to see a very unhappy Stone Cold Steve Austin. It took me a few attempts, but I ended up killing him and getting an item I'd never put down, Havel's Ring. This item gives you a massive 30% increase to weight limit, allows me to use way better armors, and eventually my very heavy weapons. I went down an elevator and found Gay Valley, stole a magic sword from the Ebola Dragon, ran past Ghost Town, and went up another elevator which brought me back to the shrine. This new area under the shrine was home to a firekeeper who says she don't speak to broke boys and to get my bitch ass out of there, and a gold boy who gave me one whole Bitcoin. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I saw Sam the Union Man crying, so I told him I could fix that. So while I was exploring, I was also looking for a way to open the gate. I realised the dragon with cooties also gave me a pretty good shield with a massive fire damage resist on it, so I put it on. I went back down to Ghost Town, found the Ghostbusters video on YouTube and mass reported it, and went back up to farm for a bit, because I was only about a few levels off using my new weapon. I found the black greatsword as well, which shared the same stats as the halberd, but I ended up shooting the halberd and putting some levels into it, and after that I felt invincible, so I went to have a rematch against the Gargoyles. This time I absolutely slayed them. I actually quite enjoyed the fight. I thought its attacks were pretty cool, but when the second one comes in and spams the massive flame AoE from across the map, it kinda ruins the fight for me. Like, why couldn't it be a solo, or like have a second phase where the second one comes in? Apart from that, it took me 5 attempts, 4 when I was low level, and then this one. I think I'll give it a 6 out of 10. He has a range to it again. Okay. After that, I climbed to the top, rang the ring for sex bell, and spoke to the gimp that came down, and he gave me a T-pose and said he can pardon me for liking boys? What? You can't say that! And then I called it there for the night, going to sleep after my 5-hour shift, but I can never prepare myself for what happened tomorrow. Day 2, I made my way through the catacombs, fighting some skellies that clearly died of age, because why the fuck is their build up so high? Anyways, I ran past the Al-Qaeda practice range and spoke to Patches, who was searching for some Ligma. He seemed like a nice guy, so I agreed to help him and made it down further and further until I got to this run back. And apparently struggling with this playback as well. Where did my commentary in this whole catacomb section go? Cheers, Sonny Vegas. I don't know why, but for some reason I struggled so much in this area. Well, I know the reason, but I can't tell you now. And I fought the tough skellies on unicycles and made it to the next boss, Pinwheel. Yeah, it was pretty easy. The 2 clones might have been hard if they actually attacked. I'm guessing it's kind of like the Renala fight where the mage is really weak to physical attacks. I'm not really sure where to rank this one because it was over really quick and only took 1 attempt. I think I'm going to have to give it a 4 out of 10 for boring, but this is where the dreaded night happened. I made it to Patches, but to be honest, I don't know how because it's so fucking dark. I literally turned my gamma up to max, so if you look at the start of the video compared to the end of the video, you'll see the brightness difference. Yeah, so Patches told me to look over the ledge, and that's where to find Ligma. I trust Patches because he'd never do me wrong. He betrayed me, and for that, he must pay. I felt like guts tearing through the demons trying to make my way up. I found a lantern that obviously uses shit as candles because you can't see nothing with it. I made my way back up and told him I found Sugma. My revenge was complete. Happiness filled the void in my heart, but not for long. I spent the next hour fighting hellhounds to get a whiff of the fresh air of freedom, but I was fooled. Not once, but twice. A big gold door cop-blocked me from progress, but that wasn't the least of my worries. There was something worse I was about to find out. I went back up to my last bonfire and realised I had to walk all the way back up to the top, past the skeletons, past the giants, past the Al-Qaedas, past everything. And that's where I lost my sanity. 3 hours it took. 3 fucking hours it took me to get where I fucking started. After that, I was defeated. I spent minutes in a depression, even bigger than one you'd get from listening to XXXTentacion's album 17, but the hatred had fueled me even more now. I went back to Undeadsburg and seen that a new area had opened up. I was about to go on a murder spree, dogs and men alike would face my wrath, until I found the magic man, and I saw his head, and I felt so bad for his trim, my mood disappeared, until I got to the next boss.
Oh my god.
Okay, let me try that again. Until I got to the next boss, the Capra Demon. Again, I don't even know what to say with this boss. Like, why the fuck is this boss arena so small? It's impossible to dodge anywhere. It might have been okay if it was just a boss, but they stuck fucking dogs in there as payback as my fucking genocide earlier. Its attacks weren't bad, but it's just the recurring themes of gimmicks the devs like sticking in. 3 attempts and I think I'll have to give it 3 out of 10 for being annoying. But I made it out the area, and the game thinks it can make it up to me by opening up a new area, giving me a new shop NPC, and wrapping the area back to the shrine, but I think it actually worked. But today's session was done, and I can finally go to sleep. I am crazy, and I've decided I wanted to play. I couldn't leave this game alone, so I got back on and went to the new area, and found the local dealer who sells the stinkiest kush, freed him, and he said he'd give me a 3.5 on the house when I get back to the shrine. But I weren't that bothered, so I continued forward, getting the sloppiest suck, fought the rat from Ratatouille, and spoke to the local Scotsman who told me he needed the key that I needed the key to open the big metal doors to get to the next area. He sold some different stuff, but I found out later that he's kind of like the finger maiders from Elden Ring, and he sells the important stuff, the bosses with big souls drop. Anyways, I was exploring the Ninja Turtles hideout when I ran into Shredder. Man, I keep on fucking these lines up. I mean, the basilisks, and they end up cursing me, which gives me a massive HP nerf which will fuck me up in most boss battles. I finished clearing the sewers when I find the Ring of the Evil Eye that heals me after every kill, and I instantly put it on. It's going to be useful as I'm almost halfway through the game, my flash level is still 0. I remember seeing an NPC in the past that sold the cure for the curse at a not so reasonable price at the shrine, so I went back up and bought a few off her just in case. I talked to the dealer and he delivered on his promise, giving me the Pyromancy's Flame, but I didn't know how to use it, so I called his shit whack and left to find a new way to level up my weapons. A viewer gave me some advice to sleep with the birds, so I tried it out, and the nest was so soft it put me in a fucking mental asylum. Now I'm back at the very beginning, and I do some illegal Pokemon card trading with the bird and get some stones to upgrade my weapons. I eventually kill myself and run back to my homie from way back, and he told me he's back with his girl, and she said we ain't allowed to see each other no more. So I slayed him and he gave me a shield. Not gonna lie, the shield I've been using, well, yeah, I forgot where I got it from. But I thought I'd let you know I'd have it. Its flame resist is crazy, but I do sometimes switch it with the crest shield if I'm fighting a strong magic user. But anyways, I try and head back when I realise the owner of this base forgot to put more stones in the TC, so I fall and fight the next boss. Oh. It's the same one as before, but with an extra move which has a backtrack. Okay, I'm not rating again because it's just the first one, minus a point because it's cringy AoE attack. Oh, I've just fucking ranked it again. Fine, 5 out of 10, get the fuck out of here. I made my way back, upgraded my weapons and bought some useful items off this scamming little cunt. 20k for a crest, that's like 2.5 levels. But we spoke to the mage who was a really big fan of One Piece and went back to the sewers to find the real next boss, the Gaping Dragon. You know what, I actually really like this boss. I've already killed it a load of times in Nirene, so I was ready for what it had against me, but to be honest, it didn't have a lot. Its basic attacks were pretty readable, and you could just stay close enough to it that it didn't hit you. I like that it did a jump attack when abusing the stand behind the enemy mechanic, but its jump attacks were balanced enough that you could run away and run back and punish it. Maybe it's a bit too easy, and its run attack really didn't do anything. This was definitely the blueprint for the Magma Worm, and I've killed them so many times I've lost count. I guess my final score is a 7 out of 10. It only took me 1 try, so it loses a point, but I'll give it a point for looking cool, so good job. If it's 2 phases, I don't mind. That's pretty easy. I don't know whether I'm like... I made my way back to the gate and traversed the village of the Underpants Gnomes. And accidentally made my way all the way back to the surface, through a way I forgot about in the grasslands. So I made my way back down and got to one of the most infamous places in the whole Dark Souls franchise, the Poison Lake. To be honest, I actually really like this area. The poison hurts you if you don't watch it, but it isn't as bad as the Rot Lake that you have to pop a flask every second. And the enemies in this area are pretty easy, which makes the area feel more balanced. I made it towards the White Cave and saw a free kill. So they dropped a martyrdom on me, which my weapon couldn't hit, so I decided to explore the whole area as I saw a fog wall, which I guess was for the next boss. I found some equipment and completely missed the secret area behind the tree, but don't worry, I'll come back to it later. And I explored the whole place and decided to go back to the fog wall where I'd find the next boss, Quelaag. With this one I kind of have mixed feelings. On one hand, her sword attacks are pretty cool and feel balanced, and the whole boss's visual design looks amazing. It's definitely a top 3 design wise. Everything I hate about it is the spider. The lava bit that double ticks you if you get hit by the first attack. When it explodes it feels undodgeable, and I feel like with this game quite a few bosses have this problem where you get your attack window but you can't choose to heal because drinking a flask takes so fucking long. It took me about 5 attempts and I do want to rank it 7, but I do think the Gaping Dragon is a bit better, so I'm going to have to give it a 6.5. attractive. Oh my god. 10-minute hill. One more hit. Oh, fucking god. I headed deeper and found the final bell tower, hoping this would give me something good as it's been my main goal since the beginning, and it didn't disappoint. It woke up the bouncer and gave me access to a place I've always wanted to go. But not yet. I continued down to see some of the coolest scenery I've yet to see and found a big sleeping enemy I kinda don't want to wake up yet. I found a chest and steal its loot, and of course the fucker wakes up and wants me. I found out this is another gimmick boss and the armor from the chest is pretty strong against him, so I put it on and fight him. The Ceaseless Discharge. Wait, what? I think I'm going to censor that word. For some people, they really hate the word moist, what I don't really get, but for me, I really hate this word, I'm not even going to say it. But to get back on topic, this boss was okay. To be honest, I don't know how I'm calling the gimmick boss okay. Well, actually most bosses in this game are gimmicks, but you know. He's a fast attack that at first you won't be able to dodge, but as you watch him more and more, you can tell when he's going to throw out his attack, and I actually quite like that. He does sometimes do another attack to throw me off, and he has quite a bit of health, making it a battle of attrition, and you can only attack him when he does his attack, which forces you to stay close and maximise the punish window. It took me about 4 attempts, but I think I'm going to give him a 6, for being different, but still simple at the same time. As he dies, the lava level's lower, and it opens up a whole new area. I put my armor back on, and while I'm here, I'll take a second to talk about it. I ended up keeping this armor on for the whole game, as I was upgrading it as I went along, and it was pretty expensive to upgrade any other armor to reach the quality of my own. I also got this Mask of the Child quite early, and it's pretty incredible. Its stats are low, but it boosts stamina recovery massively, and that's pretty good when I'm blocking enemies with a shield. I head down to the new area and see demons protecting some loot, so I go over there and get fucked and decide to go a different way instead. I find a bonfire guarded by this worm, so I killed it and used the bonfire to be my home for the next several deaths. I headed down the stairs to find another golden door I still can't open, but I see some loot across the way, so I fight, slaying demon after worm until I make it to my prize. A large flame ember I don't even end up using. But the kills got me a lot of souls to level up with, so it wasn't a complete waste of time. I headed back up to check the newly opened gate when I noticed something. I can't get in the house. The wife's gone and she left me a note saying, "She's too good for a broke boy, I'm gonna go find me a rich baby daddy." I was distraught. I was going to drink away my sorrows with Golden Boy, but I couldn't find him at all. So I went to the Smelly Miner to make a plan of action to go rescue my girl. I head to the fortress to see that Sam the Onion Man has already entered without me, and the area is guarded by Pythor and his army planning to attack the city of Ninjago. But I climbed up passing the stolen Indiana Jones traps and find Sam. Here he sits and hesitates. Does he shit? Or masturbate? After the hours of hitting chests, I found my first mimic and got revenge for my beautiful wife Freewin, and got to the top, where Nate Jones hit a 720 temper shot off the top ropes and sent me back down again. I fight the boss thinking there's no bonfire close, and then I die, having to restart all over again. Our viewer gave me some secret information about a bonfire being hidden away, and I eventually found it, but what the fuck is this? No one in their right mind would find this, ever. But I went back up and challenged the boss, the Iron Golem. He's alright, I guess. The range attack is pretty dodgeable, and he only does it if you're on the other side of the map, to counter against magic builds. But the small space on the bridge is annoying. I ended up just going under his legs to dodge the attacks, but at this point I didn't know that if you locked on, you could only dodge in 4 directions, and I kept on rolling off. Other than that, he was okay. My weapon did enough poise that at half health he just stood there and allowed me to kill him. It only took 4 attempts, so I think I'll rate him the same as Quelaag. So I'll give him a 6.5 out of 10. I might get hit by this. Unless his poise broke, I don't know what's going on. But I'll take it. And I'm doing kicks. There we go, beautiful. I went back and spoke to Genghis Khan, then got kidnapped by some demons that brought me to my new favourite looking area, New Orleans. I spoke to my firekeeper's homegirl, and she told me that her new boyfriend was beating her, so I went off to go rescue her in the massive cathedral. I found another golden door that I couldn't open, and heading into the chapel that had an ominous painting that reminded me of Mario 64, so I touched it and got sucked right into the Ice King's domain. I fought the Ebola Dragon's cousin, then I headed down the pathway to find out it wasn't actually Adventure Time, but the Fiona and Cake universe where the Ice Queen lived. She was pretty chill, but she looked pretty strong, so I attacked her and started the battle with Priscilla. At first, I didn't have a clue what to do until I felt Sombra hack me into pieces. And of course, what's a Dark Souls game if it's not another gimmick battle? All I could do was run towards her, attack, run away, and rinse and repeat. That's it. It was pretty boring, but the gimmick didn't really enrage me this time, and it only took a few attempts, so I think I'm going to give it a 4.5. I don't know where he went. Where's she? I keep calling him a he. Oh, okay.
GG's. Aw, GG's. Aw, GG's.
I jumped off the cliff listening to Aerosmith and returned to the real world. I went to the cathedral and got there pretty easily. I said I got there pretty easily. And regrouped with Ceaseless, who as a lover of women, helped me to find my girl. I also found Sam in Post-Nut Clarity wishing he'd never been born, so I left him and cleared the area to find these two new shields I'd switch between. I found the giant blacksmith, and learnt of crafting special weapons with the souls of the dead. I carried on exploring to find more materials and ended up stumbling into the next boss arena, Ornstein and Smough. Smough? Oh no. Right off the bat, I've got to say I've heard about this boss being a good duo fight, and it didn't disappoint. Both of their attacks are fairly simple and easy to read, but managing to juggle between them is where the fun comes into this fight. The openings are pretty fair, and the way this boss has two different second phases depending on who you kill, that's so cool and unique, and I don't remember seeing anything like this in Elden Ring. It only ended up taking me one attempt, and I've got to say, this is my favourite boss I've seen in this game so far. I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. Oh. Shit. That's not good. Goated. I'm the best. I went further up and spoke to Mummy, and she gave me the best item in the game, the warp, which allowed me to teleport between different bonfires I've already touched before. I went back down to the cathedral and found out the man abusing my girl was Golden Boy, so I slayed him and his 2 hype men. I stole his pimp ring and ended up using it for the rest of the game as he gives me crazy good buffs at the cost of not being able to take it off. I told my girl that I got my money up so she came back to me and returned home to the shrine. Before I went back home, I spoke to the blacksmith and crafted a new weapon made from the soul of Priscilla, the Life Hunt Scythe, and I found out that it's shit, hurting me as well as the enemies. So I went out to craft another weapon using the core of the Iron Golem, and I found out the weapon's shit as well. So I gave in and had to look at the wiki and found out that Smough's hammer was extremely strong but required 58 strength to use. So for the rest of the game I only leveled up my strength. After wasting about 100k souls, I went back home, made love with my wife and went off for the night. I decided to retrace my steps and kill the bosses that I'd missed, so I went back to kill the Ebola dragon and used the quest I bought ages ago to unlock the new area in the grasslands. I killed these NPCs for some easy money and spoke to that one dog on TikTok that had over 1 million followers just for having Down syndrome, and carried on my way. I saw there was another way to fight the squirt dragon, but it fucked me, so I left it alone again and came across this shiny big door that led to this massive grave, which was guarded by the next boss, Good Boy Seath. This was a pretty fun boss. It had cool attack patterns which obviously inspired the Red Wolf of Radagon, but the problem I had wasn't really directed at this boss, rather a problem with this game in general. If you stand close to the boss, its attacks will go straight past you and it kinda makes the boss feel like I'm cheesing it, which takes some fun out of the fight for me. But it looked cool and didn't have any annoying gimmicks, so I think I'm going to give this boss an 8 out of 10, as it loses a point for being easy.
Right, he's far away, he's gonna dodge into it. Oh, he needs a kick. Dodge into him. I missed. Oh, for God's sake. Dodge into him. Oh my god. He's low, he's low. I can kill him. What a heal. Oh, fuck, I'm all fucked up. Dodge into him. Okay. You weren't that bad.
But after this fight, it dropped its soul, which I found out can be used to make one of the best shields in the game, the Great Shield of Artorias, which had amazing stats across the board and had the passive effect of blocking all status effects, which was pretty good. After that I ended up going to the ghost town to explore. I hadn't took a single look down there so far, but I found a fellow clansman and they gave me a hint about the boss in the abyss. I was ready to go fight the newer boss, but it had a problem. To stand in the abyss, you need to wear Taurus' ring, but I couldn't take any of my rings off or else it'd make me overweight and unable to dodge, so I decided to explore elsewhere and put some more points into my stamina. I went back to the shrine and found the Great Devourer, who kept on insisting he didn't have a Vorkink, and took me to his hideout where he instructed me on finding 3 ingredients to make the big soup. And luckily, these ingredients were in the areas behind the golden doors that just opened up, so I set a new goal to explore these new areas. I got to the first area and found out it was located in a crystal meth factory, where the crystal meth dragon decided to lure me into its arena, one-hit me and steal all my money. I ended up waking up in a jail cell and planned my escape. The snake set off the alarm and the Blighttown troops are sent after me while I search for a way to kill the meth dragon. I accidentally ran into Sir Cuntface, son of Moonlight Butterfly, and decided to never fight him again and made my way to the boss, Seath the Scaleless. I ain't got too much to say about this boss. It starts with a new stupid gimmick to kill the crystal that gives it immortality, and then all it does is a massive AoE attack that literally has no counterplay other than tanking it. The only way to kill it is to sit behind it and kill it faster than it kills you. But saying this, I've fought worse bosses in this game, so I think I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10, because it's not as bad as the fucking butterfly. I got back, finally figured out you could level up your flasks, and I headed back into the lava cave to check out the newly opened area. But before that, I decided to challenge the lava minotaurs and kill them easily, only dying to the fucking environment, but I called it there for the night, not knowing tomorrow would be my final day. I made my way to the second golden gate, just to find another asylum demon. Yep, this is the fucking tree sentinel. I found myself facing the next actual boss, the Centipede demon. What's with this game and having such shit boss arenas? It might have been okay if the lava only ticked you like the poison swamp, but this lava kills you in seconds. And the funny thing is, after killing this boss, it gives you a ring that gives you lava resistance. Like, what the fuck? If you're gonna make this a gimmick fight, actually give me the item that counts the gimmick. I'm thankful that I discovered shields are OP. Because why the fuck does this do a flame AoE attack in this tiny fucking arena? To be honest, its normal attacks weren't that bad, and it just spammed an annoying grab attack that did no damage. So I think I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10. It could have been a 6 if this arena weren't fucking filled with lava. After that I put on the new ring to go through the new area, and luckily I leveled up high enough that taking off my other ring didn't make me overweight, so I thought sucky sucky fucky fucky man, forced some traps, and reunited with my old friend. Wait, what? Soler, what happened? Some girl rejected you and now you think all women are thoughts? I couldn't let that stand, so I put him out of his misery and reminisced about all the good times we had. I wiped away all my tears and prepared for the next boss, Bed of Chaos. Oh my god, I didn't think anything could be as worse as the butterfly, but what the fuck is this? I wanted to play Dark Souls, not a fucking puzzle game. Like, what the actual fuck? I'm gonna use all the times I died as background clips, because I died in the most stupid ways imaginable, because Miyazaki decided to bring a literal incarnation of cancer into this game. I said I wasn't gonna compare bosses with different games, but I don't think I've ever had less fun fighting anything than I did with this boss. Like, its literal whole thing was to kill these balls, and you don't actually fight it. It's just a try not to get knocked off minigame, and the icing on the cake is that you get past it to the final ball and it does a massive AoE fire attack that one hits you. Like, what the fuck? This boss is the king of all gimmicks, and I don't want to see it ever again. I'm going to be generous and give it a 1 out of 10, because destroying its shields could have been a good idea, but not in this fucking scenario. Okay, rant done. Fuck me. What a stupid boss. After bashing my brains out, luckily because I already spent my summer traversing these caves, I was able to TP back to the Cave of the Giants and go find the final golden gate. I killed some of the Pinwheel clones and their minions and fought the final boss of the trio, Gravelord Nito. To be honest, it was quite a letdown. I remembered his name from the intro cutscene and I thought it'd be a pretty cool fight, but what he ended up being was boring basic attacks surrounded by unkillable ads, and that's it. There's literally nothing else I can say. I killed it in one try. I think I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10 again for just being so fucking boring. I finally retrieved all the ingredients to put in the big soup, but I knew I was getting closer to the end of the game, so I decided to go clear up some loose ends and explore areas and kill bosses I've missed. First I went back to the Poison Lake and found Sam, looking for some new material to goon to, so I just left him to it. I went through the secret passageway a viewer told me about. I fell down the tree and found myself at this really cool lake under the map. I found this black squirt dragon and carried on exploring when I ran into Igneal, king of the fire dragons. I was told that if I killed him he'd drop some good loot, so I cut off his tail and he dropped this powerful weapon, the Dragon Greatsword, and I decided to use that for the rest of the run. It did way more damage, but it had a shorter range and hit slower than the halberd, but I still decided to use it, as at this point I've been using the halberd for about 2/3 of the game and I wanted to switch it up. I realised I needed a few more dragon scales to level it up, so I went back to the fire dragon, got fucked, and then went back to kill the squirt dragon, where I got enough mats to get the strongest weapon in the game. I thought I was pretty invincible, so I went back to slay the boss creeping in my nightmares, the Four Kings. Even though this boss was the literal definition of gimmicks, I found it a lot of fun. His attacks weren't too difficult, and this boss was just really a battle of attrition. If I could kill him fast enough, his buddies wouldn't gangbang me, and I'd win. And if he stayed alive long enough, he'd win. And it was kinda cool to have a race against Time Boss. I really enjoyed the fight on its own, but with it having low health, and having 4 different clones come after it, I think I'm actually gonna have to give it an 8 out of 10 for being creative. Oh. Please no second phase, I'm begging. Please no second phase, I don't want to fight second phase. But after that, I felt like it was time to go and make the big soup. It opened up a door to a new world where all the Black Knights were tortured to die, respawn and die again to my hands. But after several attempts, I made it to the final boss, Gwyn, Soul of Cinder. Okay. To be honest with you, there's nothing inherently wrong with this boss. It just suffers with the problem that every boss in this game suffers with. It's so basic. I know Dark Souls was the first of its game, and Elden Ring had so long to adapt and improve what Dark Souls 1 brought to the table, but to me, it's still an issue. I can count its attacks on one hand, 3-hit combo, 4-hit combo, 2 closing attacks, and a grab. That's it. 5 attacks. And 2 of them don't even happen if you stay close, so realistically, 3 attacks. And its 3-hit and 4-hit combo look exactly the same. You only know it's a 4-hit attack when it's too late, and you try and make use of the 0.5 second counter attack chance you get and just get clotheslined by some massive fucking flame sword. Another side tangent, but why do bosses only have 2 attacks and half the time they start with the same combo? In my opinion, it's my least favourite type of attacks in this whole franchise. I like to find a boss, learn its different combos and learn when to make my counter attack, not gamble whether it's going to add a 4th slash or not. And another thing with this game, especially with this boss, you have no time to heal at all. And you try and bait its combo to start healing, but it does one swing, and then just charges at you, giving you no time at all. I think the boss looks extremely cool and his attacks would be pretty good if I didn't consider the negative. And that's all I've really got to say about this one. And I've got to give him a 6.5 out of 10. The only reason he isn't a 5 is because he looks good, and thankfully he doesn't have any gimmicks.
I need to get behind the rock. Oh. Sit. Oh my goodness, that was a little bit difficult.
But finally, I touched the bonfire, incinerating me as I became one with the flames. I get myself ready for the DLC, but what the fuck? Why am I in a cell? Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, I guess no DLC for me. Well, you know what? I'm a small channel, and it took me over 25 hours to complete this game. It took me 25 hours to edit this video. So if you get it to 250 likes, I'll come back and do the DLC. By the time I've uploaded this video, I've probably started my Dark Souls 2 playthrough. Go check it on my Twitch if you want. And I learned that shields are kinda OP in compared to using summons in Elden Ring. So if I do hit that like goal, by the time I start playing Dark Souls 3, I'll ban myself from using them. But here are my final thoughts of Dark Souls 1. In my head, I kinda compare it to Borderlands 2, because for years I've always said that title was my favourite game. But after playing it again recently, I realised that I can't call it that anymore. Not because it's gotten worse, but because games like it have improved so much over the years. I can only reminisce in my head about the peaks that I had with it, when it was fresh and first of its kind. What I'm trying to say is that I wish that I played Dark Souls 1 when it first came out, so that I could appreciate it way more for the creation of the whole genre, named after this single game. But I can't stop the passing of time, and every year we get new games that move the goalpost further and further away. All I can really say about Dark Souls 1 is that for its time, it was amazing. A great map designed to be an early edition open world, which made traversing easy even with no teleportation or loading screens. And introducing combat that requires skill to get them frame perfect dodges to kill your opponents and claim your rewards. But with all that said, Dark Souls 1 isn't hard, it's tedious. Yes, you can use a broken sword hilt and find it almost impossible to beat the final boss, and in Elden Ring you can get a combination of items that can make you one-hit the final boss. But that's the thing. I went into this game not watching any videos on how to complete this game, but I ended up finding the easiest way to complete this game by chance. I didn't know shields were OP, and I didn't know the Black Halberd was the best weapon in the game, but I used them because I could tell they were strong. This game isn't balanced at all. Weapons dropped by their main bosses couldn't even reach half the damage of a weapon I found in the first 5 hours of playing. And some enemies had such annoying attacks, it made me want to use a shield just for the peace of mind that I could get to a boss and fight it full HP. Yes, in Elden Ring you can get extremely strong, but there's so many different ways to do it, and it's always a process, whether that's to progress and get an extra item slot, or fight harder bosses to get stronger weapons. I'm glad Dark Souls came out, and I'm glad it exists. Its heights made me think about it in my dreams, and I wanted to get back on and complete the area just unlocked, and it also had terrible lows that I don't ever see Dark Souls fans talking about. But with that said, I did enjoy playing it, and I'm excited to go play Dark Souls 2 with no experience, hearing about how it's the worst one of them all. But that makes me want to play it more. Okay, this is going to be the end of my video, so don't forget to check out my Twitch to see if I'm streaming, and I'll see you in my next video, where I tackle the worst FromSoft game, Dark Souls 2.